let me take this opportunity to introduce a very special guest, a champion of free markets, a champion of the fight to stop this healthcare monstrosity, Congressman Steve King of Iowa. And Congressman King, you have news to report, I believe, from Washington. When we started this project, we said our first objective is to make sure that the White House deadline of March 18th for this vote isn't met. How are we doing so far, Congressman?
So far, I think we're doing pretty good. And first, I want to say that I'm not Barack Obama's cousin, but I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express last night. You have learned in a composite from Dr. Wolf about everything you need to know about the policy of this health care bill. I am, by the way, Abraham Lincoln's cousin. We share a common grandmother that goes back. And so Abraham Lincoln's the one who said the federal government's job is to defend our shores, carry the mail, and do for the people that which they cannot do for themselves, and leave us otherwise alone. We want to be left alone. We want to hang on to our constitutional rights. We want to hang on to our liberty and our freedom. And this is all about the other thing. So to answer Mike's question, the deadlines have been set over and over again on this health care bill. And I take you back to last summer. If you remember, there was a cap and tax bill that passed out of the House, and it was going to be a hurry up, let's pass socialized medicine now before the August break. They didn't get that done, and they had real fear that the American people would rise up and send a message to all the members of Congress who went back home to their districts and had town hall meetings. And you did that. You filled up those town hall meetings, and they happened in my district, and they happened in most of the districts across the country. Some members of Congress ran and hid from their constituents. I think you've got to stand and face them and tell them where you stand and listen to what they have to say. We owe you our best effort and our best judgment. And part of that best judgment is your best judgment that gets incorporated with the things that we have, the information that we have to manage your health care, or don't you? And I'll make another point that people are not making, an argument that seems to be overlooked, and I think it's the most profound. And that is, in 1973, we had a Supreme Court case called Roe versus Wade. And we know what that was. And since '73, we have heard women and men make the argument that the federal government has no business telling a woman what she can or can't do with her body. Now, I don't agree with that, but that's the argument they have been making since '73. And now the same people that have been arguing the federal government has no business telling a woman what she can or can't do with her body are now making the argument the federal government has every right to tell everybody in America what the government is going to tell you to do with your body.
Yes.
It is a nationalization of your most personal thing you have, your health, your body, and it's outrageous to have that ripped from us in the legislative subterfuge that's going on. And the shenanigans and the gimmicks that have happened, you have put a block on that over and over again. And I go back to 9/12 that said, we want fiscal responsibility. This city filled up with hundreds of thousands of people. April 15th to be another date. Those town hall meetings throughout the month of August, all over the country, hundreds of thousands of people jamming the town hall meetings, rolled into September. We also saw here in this city on the 5th of November, tens of thousands of people came and said, kill the bill. Keep your hands off my health care. Listen to me. Kill the bill. And we took the town hall to Washington then. We need to take the town hall to Washington now. They came again on the 7th of November. They came again in early December on the Senate side. And then Harry Reid gave us that bitter Christmas present on Christmas Eve, which was 60 votes that pushed that cloture vote through. Merry Christmas, everybody. We're going to take away your own personal, private management of your health care in the government of Massachusetts. How could we not honor that by coming to this city and taking the town hall to Washington Tuesday, March 16th, fill this city up, make them see the whites of your eyes, as Dr. Wolf has said. That whites of your eyes worked pretty good at Bunker Hill, and it'll work pretty good in Washington, D.C. We owe it to the patriots that stood on the line in Lexington and Concord at the real first Tea Party in Massachusetts. We owe it to the American people, and we owe it to our Constitution, our liberty, our freedom, and we owe it to our children and grandchildren and every succeeding generation. We are not an extension of socialized democracies in Europe. We are a unique people with a unique spirit, a unique liberty, and we must hang on to it. And this happens now, and it's our turn to defend it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me ask one question, and then I'll open up briefly if members of the Quest have a few questions for Dr. Wolf or Congressman King. As a congressman, if you have a vote and you're not decided, and members of your district, your constituents, ask for a meeting to meet with you to talk about that bill, and you meet with them in your offices in person, and they present a persuasive argument to you, how do you respond?
Well, I'm trying to think about that scenario. Generally, if I'm undecided, I will start out the meeting and say, this is how I'm thinking about this project. And so you understand my thought process. Now lay into that thought process your argument. And I guess I have had those times when I was sitting there with constituents and they made a point or made an argument that was what made the difference in my position. So I think first, it's one thing to have an open mind when you're not informed. By now we've had such a long discussion on this. I don't know what else can be said that would change the mind of someone. But here's what I think the American people need to know. For many of those who have not declared where they stand on this vote, it isn't that they don't know enough about the issue anymore. They are measuring the politics. They are the most acute political barometer that exists in America. Their survival will be the decision that they look down the road and they think, I can't get it past November and come back to this Congress. That's what will change their mind. That's why they need to see the whites of your eyes.
And let me just follow up on that comment. Our operation, TakeTheTownHallsToWashington.com, has one success story in that regard, because the Pittsburgh Tea Party came down and on Wednesday met with Congressman Jason Altmaier. 30 people met with him, and he had been sort of supposedly on the fence. Well, they flushed him out. It was clear he intends to vote for this bill. And now what's going to happen is everybody in the Pittsburgh Tea Party is going to come down and meet with him next week and say, here are the reasons why we're voting, we want you to vote against this. Defend your vote. And our sense is that will have an impact. So that's consistent with what your words are.
I would suggest that through the eyes of a member of Congress in that situation, and he sees the room fill up with people like it will happen next week, he'll be looking, in his eyes, it'll be the campaign team for his opponent in November.
Exactly.
So,
well, thank you very much,
persuasive.
Congressman King and Dr. Wolf. If there's anybody from the press, identify yourself if you have a question. This might be a time for a few questions if you're interested. Yes, Alex Pappas with the Daily Caller.
Yeah, how did you get involved in this conference today? Did you know the doctor, or did they reach out to you? How did this all come about?
We met on the way in the room here, Dr. Wolf and I. Although I watched Fox News this morning, so I had already some familiarity. This is just common cause. This is coming together on common cause. You don't have to tug on me very hard to get me engaged in something that I care so much about. And I'll go anywhere to pitch this fight anytime that I can. That's what it's about. It just happens, and there are a good number of groups that are part of this same effort. I want to see everybody empowered to do all they can. And I make this point that what's going on is we're trying to identify where the middle of America is, and where's the core of the political opposition or support for a bill or for the people that are elected in this Congress. And I have I've received some questions and criticism from the media for not being willing to cut a deal with the Democrats, and that would be foolish, because here's what's happened. A lot of them have buyer's remorse from having voted for either the President, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, or maybe, I guess, not all three, but two of the three. They have buyer's remorse. That's part of what has moved the political center in America from where it was at the election a year ago, November. Another component of that will be the newly energized heart of America, the constitutional conservatives that have poured into this town and into these town hall meetings. That's a newly energized group of people that were not particularly active before. Dr. Wolf, one of those people that said he wasn't particularly active before. Now here's an example. And then you have newly energized people that have been active that now have more energy because of they see what's coming at us. So the center of America is a different place than it was when they went to the polls in November of 2008. And there's no sense in making a deal with people that are in the majority right now that don't represent America any longer. We need to have a new election to reset our Congress so that it reflects the voice of the American people. We do that, then we can produce a health care policy that's good for the country and that reflects the will of the American people.
We'll take one more question from the press, and then Dr. Wolf has hopefully an opportunity to try and meet with his congressman.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Any other questions?
I met him on the way over. I should have brought him along.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think with that, with no other questions, I think we'll conclude our press conference. And our great thanks to Congressman Steve King from Iowa and Dr. Milton Wolf from Overland Park.